many subordinates working for you, then you will need to learn how to deal with people, how to develop, how to take care of the people working for you. And but please understand that I'm not trying to force you to do exactly the same as we do at Toyota. Now, I would like to share what we Toyota people do to our people working for us. Then you think about it. Maybe you can develop your own way. So I only just can give you some example what we do at Toyota. So it's your choice. Okay, so I have prepared. Okay, okay. Thank you very much for your help. And as you see, this Hoshin Kanri is it's a Japanese word, and as you see, number one, Hoshin means compass needle. As you see, that when you go out for hiking or something, you need some compass. You have to carry it with you. So compass is to show the direction where you need to go. So Hoshi means the direction that yourself or your team is going to. Then Kanri is means management in English. So you have to manage, you have to control what you are doing. So Hoshin Kanri means you establish some target, you have some directions, and then you check a certain timing whether you are going to the right direction or not. That is what we call Hoshikandi. And actually, this concept was introduced from the United States to Japan a long time ago, 1950s, when uh, uh, Dr. Deming and all those Dr. Deming's groups came over to Japan to teach all these concepts to Japanese business people. And Toyota is one of the companies who really want to learn something from them. And at the time, as you see, MBO is management by objectives was so popular in the United States. But management by objectives, they are focusing the on the results very much. So Japanese people wanted to change it, not necessarily only the result, but would like to focus on the process to attain the target. And so, Hoshin, that's why we call it Hoshikani in Japanese. Anyways, the Hoshikani concept is, as you see on the chart, is plan something at the beginning of the year. Then you put it in practice, which is do. Then at a certain time, you have to check whether what you're doing is right or wrong or whatever. You have to check, you have to review, which is check. Then based on the check, you get some idea. Then you put it into practice, and which is act. So PDCA is a very important action. And when you start something. And Toyota is one of the very enthusiastic companies in Japan or in the world to put into practice this Hoshin Kandi concept. And next page, please.
Excuse me, Isao.
Yep.
Could you switch off your cameras and leave only
Oh,
Mr. Isao? No, no, Isao, please stay,
oh,
because there is a problem with the transfer.
oh, really?
Okay? Yeah. So could you switch off your cameras? Um,
My camera?
Bartosz, no, 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 not
Oh,
yours. Artur, Bartosz, Yola, switch off your cameras, please. Okay, so the transfer will be better. Thank you.
okay.
Please continue.
Next page, please. Okay, this triangle is a hierarchy of a company like Toyota. See, on the top management is a decision maker. The chairman, president, and all those directors. Then underneath the top management, we have senior management people. We call it senior managers. So in Japan, we Toyota, we call it general managers or assistant general managers. They are highest rank of the employees. Then underneath section senior managers, then section managers. And then on the bottom is a people who just no title, but they are working. They are staff members working for section manager. This is the hero. And the hosting currently, how it starts is that at the beginning, top management, they establish corporate philosophy or vision or target of the company. Then it is broken down to the lower division, which is a division or department. It's a big group. So it is more detailed. Then within the division or department, we have many, many sections. So based on the department hosting, then each section manager develop their own detailed hosting based on the department hosting. Then that section manager's hosting is broken down into small groups within the section. So that's how this company's hosting is broken down and down all the way to the bottom. So in other words, if you are the team member, for example, then what you're doing is related, is in line with the corporate vision or corporate the hosting. And so that's how it works. And the next page, please. This one, I have 6 or 7 or 8 items, which is so important when we deal with hosting country. And maybe I think 8 items. Number 1 is employee involvement. Hosting is not only started by management. Actually, it's when it is broken down into each department or section, every employee should be involved in that activity. It's not that the bosses just set the target and do that. No, each employee has their own assignment. So everybody is involved. Everybody has something to do, some responsibility to do that. And number 2 is, when you put hosting or targets to attain, there are so many items you have in your mind, but you have to pick the biggest issue, most serious issue. So that is priority, the biggest issue. Number 3 is that this is very important. When you set some target, its target should be very clear. It cannot be vague, but very clear. Sometimes it should be the number, or should be something which everybody can understand. Next page, please. Then 4 is I talk a little bit about process. Process is the process that you take to attain the goal. So the result is that final result at the end of your activity. But process is, each time you take some action, that is a process. You understand that? So this is the diagram. On the left-hand side, vertical process. So when you go up there, its process is good process, very well prepared process. Down there, poor process. Then on the horizontal result, left-hand side, it's bad result, is no good, failure. But right-hand side, result is good. So how do you read this? If you on the top, circled by red line, if the process is very, very good up there, but still sometimes so many things happen. Sometimes you fail. Couple of, there's some reason, but sometimes you thought that you're gonna succeed, but you fail. But still, as long as the process is good, then sooner or later you will succeed. So triangle plus is okay, but also very positive okay. See, but the terrible thing is that on the right bottom and bottom, the triangle minus. Let me give you an example. If you buy a lottery, and the lottery is at the end of the year, there is a lottery shop at the end, at the corner of the station, and then you go there and spend maybe 10 euros and buy a lottery. If you are very lucky, then next year, the January, then you have a big, you win the lottery. That is this is. So you don't work hard. The only thing you have to do is that you have to bring yourself to the lottery shop, but only good luck. So good luck doesn't repeat so often. So sometimes, you may succeed, you may you can succeed. However, if the process is not so good, then it will not happen again. So that's why we put a triangle minus, which that will not repeat again. So we at Toyota, believe that process is so important. As long as you have a good process, sooner or later you will have a good result because you learn you know how to attain the goal. The process is good is a very, very important. Next page, please. And number 5 is facts and assumptions. This is also very important. When you go up the ladder of the organization, then you don't work yourself, but you just manage the people. So sometimes if you are manager, sometimes you make some decision based on assumption or report from somebody and based on the data only. But sometimes, what you see on the report does not necessarily tell you everything. So sometimes, not sometimes, when you make a decision, you have to double check whether it's a fact or just assumption. This is so important, particularly within Toyota. Fact is very, very important. So whenever you bring some important information to your bosses, always one of the first questions the boss says that, okay, where did you get this number? Where did you get this information? Did you check yourself and you went to the place and double check, or you just heard from somebody? So fact is so important. I will talk about it later. But next one, number 6, regular review. This is so important. When you step forward with some action plans, and then you don't do anything that 6 months later you check. That's too long. Within 6 months, so many things happen. So regular review. Sometimes when we say regular is maybe each week or each month, and not every day, but maybe each week or every month. You have to check whether what you're doing is on the right direction or not. So this regular review, regular check is so important. And number 7 is the people development. Number 7 does not necessarily mean that the 7's important. No, this is the most important thing. Because if you become a manager, as I said, you don't do the job yourself. Your subordinate will do the job. So, so when you become a manager, then you have to know your people very, very carefully. And so if your staff member is not skillful yet, then you have to train them. You have to help them develop the skill. So people development is so important. You have to encourage them. So this is so important. Next page, please. And so that is okay. Hosting Kanri. Then I'm going to go into a little bit detailed about how to develop your subordinate. So even though all of you, or most of your students, do not have a subordinate working for you, but sooner or later you will become that person. You will get on that position. Then you have to work together with so many people working for you. So this is one of the things we think is so important as a manager. Uh, as you see, key attitude, accept that people are all different. Because people in Japan, we Japanese look like the same. So what we are thinking in our brain is so different. Mindset. Each person has different idea, different background, different value. So everybody is different from each other. So we have to accept, and but that is very, very important. And so you're not supposed to treat people the same way. No, each people is different. So you have to treat them, in each way that matches the people working for you. So this is, it sounds very, very easy. However, it's not so easy. So as long as if you are very much serious, then you will definitely need to know more about your people working for you. And on the bottom, I said, that requires tolerance and patience. That's very, very important. Next page, please. Okay, same thing. Listen to your subordinate more. Talk to them less. That means, because particularly in Japan, the higher you go, you are more experienced. Maybe in the Western world, in your country too, Western world, you know, sometimes the manager comes in from outside. So very little experience in the company. But in Japan, the higher the rank is, then you know much better. You spend more time than anybody else. So you know much better about the work, about everything. So when subordinates do their work, sometimes they screw up. So sometimes you want to give them some answers. I give them some advice. Sometimes you tell them what to do to solve the problem. That is the worst thing to do. You know. So even though you know the answer, but you have to listen to them. You have because you have 2 years. You have only 1 hour. So having 2 years, that means you need to listen more than you talk. So this is so important. You have to be a good listener. Next page, please. And this is another important thing. You know what? I- in this world, if you want to do a good job and you try your best, sometimes you fail. So it is so important that boss is always ready to listen, ready to accept any good news and bad news together. Particularly, when you make, for example, when subordinates make mistakes, if the boss is always yelling out something, the blame for the mistake, then your subordinate who makes mistakes don't come to you to report to you because you're gonna if you blame them. But within Toyota, no, if people make mistakes, and managers also make mistakes, and because they have been there in their own experience, they made so many mistakes, and I did too. So boss is always ready to listen to, always ready to welcome their failure stories or problems, and so that is so important. You have to be open to your people and ready to listen to bad news. And so if your people just make mistakes, then then don't blame, and you have to show your empathy, telling them, "Oh, I've been there myself too. I made a mistake, it's just like you did. So don't worry about it. Let's discuss how to solve the problem." So that is so important, and actually that is what we are doing at Toyota. Next page, please. And again, the same thing. Bad news. Bad news is so important because sometimes in bad news you want to hide it. No, if you hide it, you cannot find the solution. If someone needs to hide the bad news, then you don't even know that something is going wrong. So you have always, you have to be prepared to hear bad news. And sometimes, bad boss says, don't bring me bad, bad issues or problems. Bring me good news. I would like to hear good news. That is the worst manager. So within Toyota, when uh, y- their subordinate has been struggling, then boss knows about it. Boss can sense it. So they are always ready to listen. They're always, the door is open. And so that is one of the reasons why Toyota has been so successful is because boss does not blame anybody. And we call it no problem is a problem because we have problems. So sometimes, people say, "Oh, there's no problem, sir. Everything is okay." Then boss says, "Okay, there is a problem. You don't notice it. So we have to find out what it should be the problem." So in other words, bad news first. Or no problem is the problem. Same concept. That is so important. That means on the bottom, as you see, focus. Managers need to focus on what to blame, not who to blame. Doesn't matter who made that mistake, what it was cause of the. This is most important thing. Next page, please. And lastly, this is I'm overall optimization than partial optimization. As you see on the chart, you know, the work is in this sequence. On the left, the plan and design, then based on that R&D is conducted, based on that production start. Then the product is sold to the market, then customer. So these are the process. Then if the customer should be happy, then all of these people should work together in liaison, and so on. It's partly on one division like sales is very happy, but other people have some problem. That does not is no good. As you see, uh, I wrote it. No silo thinking. See, silo is a, it's a tall storage, but you don't see what is inside. So that is a silo thing. So that is not good. So we need to know what your other department is doing. What you need to know what the next department after you what they are doing. You have to know with each other. So that we call the overall optimization, and sometimes we call it y- working together, and then that is one of the most important things. We work together with other divisions. So we call it yokoten, or it's a Japanese word. So anyway, we believe this is so important. Next page, please. This is too detailed, but sometimes as I mentioned, one of the key responsibility as a manager is to know about your subordinate. But how do you know your subordinate about their skill and everything? So this is the kind of chart. So um, the black portion is a field. So if the white portion is too big, still they need to grow. They need to learn more. So this is very visual and easy to understand. So this is one way that, particularly in the shop floor, bosses are always create all these charts for each worker. So I'm just showing that visibility is so important, and you can share it with your subordinates as well. Next page, please. And okay, I already talked about it, but don't tell your subordinate the answer first. As I mentioned, bosses the longer experience. Sometimes some problem happens, then boss knows the answer, knows how to solve it. Sometimes they tempted to tell the subordinate, "Okay, I went through the process so often. So why don't you do it? It was successful. When I did it, it's successful. So just why don't you do that yourself? Don't tell the subordinate what you have done that. Make them think about it. So don't give them answer first. Then what you need to do as a boss? You have to sit down and discuss what was the cause of the problem, what they think about it. Let them talk, let them think about it. Then you have to help them to come up with a better idea. So you have to work together. So even though you know the answer right away, but don't tell them. That is the best way to develop your people. Next page, please. Okay, this is one of the things that we value at Toyota. If you are down there very new, what you are now, the no title is very new. But still, with Toyota, the newly hired, still they are requested, no, they are advised to think about what you do from the viewpoint of to rank higher. Sometimes when you assign something, then you think about why my direct boss manager ordered me to do this. You have to think about maybe or the general manager say that. Then what is his intention? So always think about and what was real, what they expect me to do this. So sometimes you can talk to your manager of why you're timing this one. Or you can, if I have a chance, you can talk to the general manager. Sir, I was given this from my manager, but what was your intention? Uh, So that is viewpoint is so important because that will give you more broader perspective. Okay, big two rank higher boss is thinking that way. Then I I can I can prepare you from the broader point of view too. Anyways, this is one of the this is very interesting. Not so many companies have this type of attitude, but within Toyota, this is very important. Next page, please. And what this is very natural. If you have so many things, you have to you have to do that every day, every week. Then you cannot do that everything at the same time. So you have to prioritize what is what is the most important thing, what is the very strongest need at this timing. So you have to pick up maybe first one, second one, third one. Always you have to prioritize, and because you have only 8 hours in the office, so you have to spend your time more wisely and efficiently. So you have to pick up most important thing you believe is important. Next page, please. And actually, same thing. If you hire, then you have authority. But move, train your people, or move your people, or let them work for you by persuasion or motivation, not your positional authority. See, sometimes you say, I'm the boss, you do this. That's the worst thing. So make them, make them, motivated and encourage them and help them uh, to think of better ideas. Then you have to listen to them. So that attitude is very important. That is one way to develop your subordinate. Next page, please. Show respect. Okay, show respect is when you say respect is, sometimes in Japan respect means, you know, somebody who is you respect somebody who does an excellent job, why you cannot do that? So it but that is not what we mean by respect. Respect means within Toyota is that you same thing as I mentioned earlier, but everybody has a different character, different attitude, and different way of thinking, but you have to accept it. So you are not supposed to force them your own way of thinking. Everybody is different. And so that is very, very important. Uh, so show respect is one of the very important keyword at Toyota. Next page, please. I no need to explain. The 5 years is all Japanese name start with a series. Everything start with S. This sounds too simple. So some people believe it's childish. Actually, it's not. It's so important. This is not only shop floor working. No, it's particularly fast theory, sorting, and set it in right order. This can work at the shop floor, offices, whatever. So this is one of the very, very basic concept, but it still works with any type of hierarchy. I believe you already know about it. Next page, please. Well, I think you're already familiar with 5 whys, because when something happens, you know, don't jump to the conclusion too fast. So you have to ask why 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times until you reach the real cause of the problem. And this is a very famous one, but I don't go into details. But you always ask why, and until you reach your problem. And that is very, very important to when you run into some problem. Next page, please. Another thing is, I believe you must have heard about this expression, go to Gemba. Gemba is the place where things happen. So originally this comes from the police language. So sometimes, for example, some of the crime happens on the street, for example. Somebody is killed. Then you know, new police officer report to the big boss. Then one of the first comment, big boss, okay, how many times have you been to the Gemba? You bring in all those data, but that's not enough. Why don't you go back to the Gemba, and you must have overlooked something. Why don't you go back to Gemba? So go to Gemba is go to the place where things happen. And so another meaning go to Gemba is go visit the people, to the people, talk face to face, and sense it what he or she is thinking, rather than judging something from a report from the email. And so, the, uh, for example, in our case, now I can send this document. I could have sent this document to all of you, but that is not direct. So now we are talking face to face. If you have questions, you can ask. That is another way, similar way go to Gemba is direct. So this is one of the most important attitude that Toyota believes important. Always we call it go to Gemba. Next page, please. Um, this is not so important, but Toyota started with the name Toyota. So it when you write in Japanese writing, it requires 10 strokes. But at certain timing, they change it from Toyota to Toyota. So when you 2 dots, if you take out 2 dots, then it changes from 10 strokes to 8 strokes. So 10 is full, and the 8 is not full yet. You have 2 notches to come up. So this is my story. But the reason why Toyota changed their company name from Toyota is because we need to believe that we are still not enough yet. We are not attained yet. 8 strokes, we have 2 steps to reach the 10. So that is an attitude. So we always think about we are not perfect yet. We still have to work hard. We think harder. So this is a very, very basic concept of Toyota. Next page, please. And maybe we're going to skip this, but this is the example. Seemingly impossible target. No, not skip, but are you familiar with Shinkansen and Japanese bullet train? And this project was announced, and within very short period of 7 years, I believe, very short, 5 years. 5 years, then you have to develop this new technique, and long time ago, 1966, and no, started 59, and within 5 years, you have to develop this very highest ranking skills of technique for the bullet train. At the same time, you have to buy government have to buy land to install rails, and it's not easy because it's already people already lived in that area, so you have to prepare other land to move out. Anyways, there are so many difficulties, so people thought it was almost impossible. but they cannot discuss whether we can, because this is already given. So what they only within 5 years made possible. So I'm I'm not saying that always we have to set seemingly impossible target. No, when this is given, because this is a must. Don't argue, but this is a must. Then we have to have an unconventional idea, conventional way of thinking necessary. This is a good example. Next page, please. And this is a root cause of the problem. I talked with about five, I mean, 5 whys. It's so important. When you look at these trees, there is, down there root cause. So if you cut them out on the surface, but there, as long as there's a root down there, the new trees will come up. So that so what root cause is take out root cause is so important. Next page, please. And okay, uh, talking about problem solving, as you see on the left hand side, as is, which means where you are right, but to be is your target. The stage you would like to become, but you are not reached them again. So that distance is a gap. So if you are down there at this position, and if you know to be that position, then there is a gap. So you have to tackle the gap. So this is a kind of concept when we solve the problem. This is very natural. No need to explain that. But okay. Next page, please. Okay, when you are the boss again, you have you have to develop your, but before you step forward to develop your or coach your subordinate, what uh, my suggestion to myself too, why don't we, list up, why don't you list three of our own strengths first before we just discuss with your subordinate, but why don't we do ourselves, what is my strong point? What is our strong point or strengths? Or so, as I said, leadership, communication. So you have to analyze it, put it in the writing, and maybe put it in the right book. So because you have to analyze yourself. If you cannot analyze your capability, how come you can analyze somebody else working for you? So you have to try it first. Then you use that, learning skills to somebody else. That is a sequel. So then the next page, please. Then based on what you have done, then you step forward to help them develop, to develop your subordinate. And but in that case, always trust relationship so important. So even though boss is a higher rank, it's the same human being. So you have to respect their opinion, whatever. Always, always you have to know what kind of strong point subordinate has, what kind of weak point, how can I help her, you know, improve it, or to make it better, whatever. So it's very, very important, to analyze your subordinate strengths yourself as a big boss. Next page, please. Yeah, as you know, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody, as you see on the number one, number two, everybody wants to be respected and also recognized. Everybody wants to be recognized. So that is important. So when they did good job, then you have to appreciate that. When they feel something, you have to talk to them. Anything I can help you out to solve the problem. Oh, that is very, very important. That is recognition. And that's one of the key things that Toyota appreciate very much, particularly when we selected the higher position. And this the concept is so important. And again, this is a see, this is a bad attitude, very much bad attitude of bad boss. You know, don't need to explain this, but always yelling out and they don't bring me the news and it's, you stupid. That is the most terrible attitude of the boss. And within Toyota, it's very, very rare that we run into. Of course, we have certain percentage of a bad boss. I hope I was not a bad boss, but it's you know it's so important for boss to always be ready to listen. On the left hand side, yelling out, and he will next time he makes a mistake, he will hide it. He will find millions of reasons why he will not come to him. Try to hide it. So nothing, no solution, no nothing. So it's not his fault, but the boss's fault. Next page, please. Okay. Uh, this is do's and don'ts. What you need to do, what you don't, you must not do. And the objectives, the subject. That means objectives is a more broader facts, but subjective is opinionated. So it's you have to be fair, and it's too natural. But within Toyota, always go to Gemba, same thing. Go to Gemba is not subject. Go to Gemba, you see itself by your own eyes, by other people's own eyes. So it's same thing. Subject means your opinion, your assumption. Next page, please. Well, just a similar, and okay, again, I talk about, look at the number two. When you make mistakes, opponent makes mistakes, focus on the process, not on the person. So a bad boss always said, "Oh, you stupid, you failed again. You make so how many times you make mistakes?" That is the worst comment. Don't focus on the person. What do you think is the reason you failed? Let's sit down and discuss. Let me find out how I can help you out. So, a good boss is always focusing on the process. We don't focus on. We don't put on big, emphasis on who did it. We don't care. And I, uh, at the beginning of the session, Joanna showed me the book. Leading to learning to lead. That book is in Polish language. And in that book, I don't know what page, but when I joined the 1966, I made a huge mistake in the paint shop of my orientation work. But I make a big mistake. Then I screw up and I put the wrong paint in the wrong mixer. So 100 cars needs to repaint it. It was my mistake. So, but when it happens, then the people rushing to my position and first comment is that something is wrong. So the paint does not stay on the car. And how did you do that? And what was the procedure you took? So you put the mixer. So please explain to me. That is what they asked me. So they did not even sound like they are blaming me. They just want to find out. How did you do that? So yes, sir, I did this one this way. Then I found out, oh, I put the wrong paint, the wrong tank. Then those guys said that, oh, that is what said. I'm sorry, it was our mistake, not your mistake, because you are new. Came here only 3 days. But we did not prepare all those detailed manuals to you. We only tell it verbally. It was our mistake. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for making this because we can make some counter plan so that nobody will do the same mistake again. So that was the reaction. So they are focusing on the process. They apologized to me not I apologize to me for not preparing the manuals for me. They are talking about the process. So this is very, very important. Next page, please. Well, actually, I've already talked about it, but bosses need to help and develop subordinates. That is one of the most important responsibility of the big boss. So many people in other companies believe that, oh, boss's responsibility is to attain the goal. So, of course, that is not wrong, but at the same time, in order to attain the goal, boss needs to develop their own people to attain the goal. That should go side by side together. So that is one of the things. These particularly help people, develop people, and treat people right. That is one of the most the different attitude, different value than any other company in Japan. And okay, I'm sorry, just I spent too much time. But, if you have any comment, any question, I'll be very happy to answer.
No, we are on time, Isao. So thank you. Thank you for this brief presentation. So now it's time to ask the deeper questions. If you wish to understand some part more, or you want to ask about Mr. Yoshino's experience, just do not hesitate. Okay, we have the first person. So Zorlu Sedat.
Yes. Hi, Joanna. Thank you. First of all, thank you for organizing this meeting. So I'm happy to be here. So hi, Mr. Isao,
Hi.
or should I say Yoshino-san? I don't know. But
Sure.
so it is really nice to listen you and get your experience through all these things. Actually, I'm CI continuous improvement manager in ADM already, and here what I would really need ask. I will have 3 questions actually, if you don't mind. The first thing, as an organization, we are really at the beginning of our continuous improvement journey. So there is really little of continuous improvement. Some practices, but not many. There is no structural way, and so on. And we know that all of this about the behavior and the culture, all of this tool, Hoshin, Gemba, what we are talking, these are not tools, these are behavior actually. At least this is my understanding. So this is the behavior we apply. So as a company, that we are at the beginning of our journey to deploy the continuous improvement, especially lean here, what would be your advice to us? The first thing.
I see. Well, actually, we at Toyota, we don't call continuous improvement. We only say improvement. We only said Kaizen, not continuous Kaizen, because Kaizen is never-ending process. If you do some Kaizen on certain product, but that is not the end. That is the beginning, because it's not perfect. Just like I mentioned, 10 strokes, 8 strokes, Toyota and Toyota. Even though you make it much better, but still it's still 8 strokes.
Right.
See, so that's why continuous. Maybe somebody, I don't know, some foreign people, lean people added continuous, because when you say only Kaizen or improvement, it's people think it's only one time. See, but no, one time. Always try to improve over and over again. Just like you step going to the never ending steps. You don't know how many stories your house is, but it is keep up going up. And so that is the concept. That means you are not perfect. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. And also, when we are so used to with what, if you are successful, then you will feel so happy. But that's too much. Still, you have so many things you have to correct. You have to improve. So that type of concept behind that, that word of Kaizen. Kaizen is never-ending process.
And how they should start, because they are beginners.
Beginners.
So
Okay,
Mhm.
you are asking me or
No,
Yeah,
it was set up question.
okay. How do we start?
Mhm.
Okay.
How?
Then when you do something, when you're, for example, you are just a newcomer. When you assign something, but you find out, okay, this is too much work, or you know, too difficult for you to understand it. Then you have to ask your boss or ask whoever. And if you find something wrong, then you have to express your idea, opinion, and start discussing. That is a very important starting point. And if you have some concern, some question, but still you don't ask them, and then you do that exactly what you are told, then you become so familiar, but you don't recognize how it came up. So you always you always start with a very simple, i- very simple questions. If you find something is wrong, I don't understand why, then you have to ask why. So always ask why. And even though it's a it sounds like silly question, but don't worry about it. Asking question is so important. So start when you ask somebody, if you don't think it is important, then you have to tell your boss, why do you think this is important? And you have to ask. Then your boss will explain it, why it is important. So conversation or discussion start from there.
I
So
think it could be difficult in Poland to ask why you expect me that to our bosses.
well, it's there anyway. So yeah, and to answer your question again, never-ending process.
okay. Thank you. And if you don't mind, I have two quick questions, Justin. The first thing is when I look to your career, so when we go through your careers, plenty of things that you have been doing. So what was the biggest challenge for you, and what is the biggest lesson learned for you so far
Oh
that we
wow,
should take
actually,
benefit?
well, it's a little bit general question, but um, my biggest challenge at Toyota is that what you're asking?
So what was the biggest challenge, and what is the biggest lesson learned so entire of your
Oh, okay.
career?
Well, actually, my background is not engineering. See, we call it. We have two groups. Engineering group, not group, engineers, and non-engineers. Because I learned Spanish and all the liberal, you call it liberal arts. So I'm not majoring engineering. So uh, most of the non-engineers within Toyota, we work in certain departments for maybe 3, 4, 5 years. Then we we transfer to other departments for better, not better, for more different experiences. So I've been, I think 14 or 15, I've been for 13, 14 or 15 different departments during Toyota time. So it's a more wider, broader area, but not so deep. And so every time I assign to the new section, then I have to learn everything from ABC. But it's very hardworking job, but still it's very interesting because I can learn so many things, run into so many new people and new facts, everything. So anyway, I don't think any big challenge because I knew that it's going to be difficult for me to get to know right away. So I always try to learn all the basic. And of course, there is a challenges, but it's part of our work life. Sorry, I cannot answer your question directly.
No, but it's clear. I got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate.
And your biggest lesson learned?
Oh, because okay, that's a good question. Because I made so many mistakes. When you read the book, Polish language, I don't know which page, but I made huge mistakes everywhere. But it was I felt very miserable when I made mistakes. But at the same time, I learned many lessons. I should have done that. I done this way or that way, but I didn't. So I learned. I did determine myself. Okay, next time I'm in that position, I will never do that. What I did, the way I did it, that I have to do this way and this. So I learned many lessons, and so that is so important. And actually, that is the top management concept too. So when I failed, huge failures, huge mistakes in the boat business, but the president did not blame me, and people did not blame me because you tried. This is a new area, you tried, and Toyota is new too. So you try, which is good. So that was really helped me out, and so I was very much encouraged. That is part of Toyota culture. So failure sometimes failing something is not bad, uh, uh, as long as you learn some lessons.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now it's Natalie's turn. Natalia.
Hi, Isao.
Hi.
Hello. You already have that opportunity to meet, so that's another chance to speak to talk
Ah.
a bit. I'm also a lean manager, and I'm working. Of course, it's not so big experience like yours in Hoshin Kanri, but I struggle with some. Every time when I cooperate with some company, I struggle with some three problems, which I would like just to ask you about. Problems about implementing and managing the targets with in the company. And I observed that successful implementation of the strategy and the involvement of all issue is due to a correct allocation of metrics. I mean, the process of cascading, metrics cascading is very important in my opinion. And I just would like to ask you, can you give us some tips how to cascade down, which means from top to down?
What does a cascade mean?
Yeah, cascade, which means that, in example, that our main goal is to reach by some level of margin, but some departments are, in example, are going to are having not the number of the percentage of margin, but the level of margin. Example with some currency, or the number of activities will give us some kind of level of margin. An example, which means that we have one main goal for our company, and cascading, I call it, I understand it, that it's a process of defining each targets per section, per department, due to have achieve at the end of the month, in example, one common goal. Yeah, so that's...
Okay, I don't know whether I understand your question right, but when you, as you see on this picture, when corporate philosophy or those vision or top management policy is decided, then it's broken down to departments, for example.
Yes.
Then within the department, they have to break it down into more detailed items. Then it's not that general manager make decision by himself or by himself, but you just call all the key people. Okay, this is what we need to do. What should be our target based on the company hosting, and so they discuss about it. And so a lot of discussion takes place when they make their own department hosting. And so while even though general manager wants to attain this one, but other people just, oh no sir, I would like to prefer this one. So lots of discussion takes place. That is a very good place to discuss and find out what each person has different agenda, something. So even though you cannot 100% agree, but after going through the lots of talking and discussion, then you will understand with each other. Actually, that is what's happening within Toyota. And
Yeah.
final, it's a lot. It's a lot different. General manager makes decisions everything by himself, by herself, or share it with other people. And after 2 hours, 3 hours discussion, at the end, and the general manager decide, okay, we have a lot to talk about, but maybe why don't we do this way? So that is a lot different, right? Lots of discussion, sharing, all those, all those discussions, and then make a final decision. That is what we do.
Mhm, mhm,
I don't know whether I need to know more details, but that is what's happening at Toyota.
mhm, mhm. And quite the same question I had about not vertical cascading, but horizontally, which you mentioned
Oh, yeah.
slide. When how to synchronize those departments, those
I
sections,
see.
that
Well,
they are not becoming a silos. Yeah. So
well,
that's
actually, yeah.
question.
Today in that document, I did not talk much about it. Maybe sometime later I will prepare some PowerPoint. We call it Nemawashi or all those topics. But it's so important that you have your department working on some items, but you have some preceding department, then the
Yeah.
next department. You are in the middle. So every time you create some hoshin, then you have to discuss with other department as well, not only within the department. So
Mhm.
this is our department, and so you talk to the other department, the prior department and bosses, and okay, this is my plan, but what do you think? And so we always discuss with horizontal,
Mhm.
and so that is so important. We call it horizontal deployment. Vertical, of course, you do. When I used to work in the United States, vertical, yeah, a lot, so many, everybody talks about it, but no horizontal.
Mhm.
So then sometimes you have some friction. So I always, share, discuss before you make a final decision.
Mhm. Mhm.
It takes a longer time, but it's worthwhile.
Yes. Yes. I have one more question, but maybe someone else would like to ask it. I can leave it for later.
Okay. Anyone would like to ask question? We will talk about Namawashi a little bit during the next meeting, and we will have the opportunity to listen the U.S. History, the history of the plant, New Me plant in U.S. So we will have the possibility to understand how how it was transferred from Japan to our West way of thinking and, and challenges
Yeah.
that there were.
So if there are none of the question, I can ask my third question. Can I?
Yes, please.
Mr. Isao, because one more thing I'm struggling with is how to engage people at the last part of the level, the staff level. What kind of routine can be planned to manage the strategy, to manage the direction, but daily management?
Oh, you're asking me how to
Yeah, how to engage
eng-
the people from staff level, that they
uh,
will be motivated due to managing the direction which was
I
set
see.
in
Well,
Washington.
actually, the I don't remember whether I explained that, but we it's check process. When we establish some target and we step forward. Then at certain timing, maybe 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later or monthly, update meeting. We have a quick meeting, and we double check, and then if your subordinate has some problem, then those regular meeting is a very good opportunity for them to come up with. So maybe they might come up. Oh, boss, I have some small problem. I try to proceed it, but I have solved it this way, this and that type of problem. Then it's you have the regular meeting opportunity is a great opportunity for them to come up with a problem. But if you don't have the regular meeting, quick meeting, then if you maybe 6 months later you have a final meeting, then it doesn't work. So you always give a chance for your subordinate. If they have any problems, you have to give them a chance to come up with bringing up bad news, because everybody wants to hide your weak point. If you fail something, you want to hide it, and you're waiting for you to forget everything about it. So it's no good. So always you have to be ready to listen to bad news. So before you expecting your subordinates to develop themselves or they become smarter, you have to be prepared to listen to them. And when they bring in bad news, then you have to welcome them. Oh, you made a mistake. Congratulations. You don't have to say congratulations, but actually within Toyota, oh, you can make a mistake. That happens. Even a smart girl like you make a mistake. Let's sit down and discuss. So that type of attitude, you don't have to do that exactly what Toyota people do, but that type of attitude, always, I'm always telling them in the regular meeting, you always said, okay, this meeting is for you guys to bring up bad news, something like that. Good news, no need to share, or just say that I'm doing fine. But bad news, this is a great opportunity. So you always, bosses should always tell them that I'm ready to listen to your bad news only. So that type of attitude you create within yourself, then people will change their attitude. It takes some time. So don't expect to change. You have to change.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
So I have a question. Oh,
Sure.
no. It's someone who has questions. So I will give the opportunity. Okay. Arthur.
Hello,
Hi.
nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Isao. I really appreciate what you said about today. It was a great opportunity for me to learn something new. I had one question, because from the perspective of a leader, if you are a leader, especially in Europe, people sometimes expect from you that you will give them direction, that you will give them answer and give them the processes, how to solve the issue, how to deal with the problems. From your perspective, you need to have to listen to people, to give them the space to work and to find out the solutions. But from our perspective, I would say like that in Europe, people sometimes expect from the leaders to give advice. And the question is how to combine that, how to manage that to be a leader for the people, that people see a leader with you, in you, and to give them a space to work on their own mistakes, I would say like that.
Well, I think I understand, but
So the question, may I repeat, Arthur? So the question is how to combine Japanese thinking about role of the leader, that the leader is asking questions and doesn't give answers, and expectation from the Polish worker, give me the answer. You should know the answer.
Okay, I understand. Well, I want to make a small correction. That is not the Japanese way. What we are doing, not necessarily Japanese way in general. Very specific at Toyota, not only Toyota, but Toyota is a little bit different. So because we know that, even though we are so experienced, we make mistakes. So we always think that everybody makes mistakes. So anytime, when you are watching your subordinate, how they work, then you can sense it. Oh, he's doing something wrong. You can sense it. But so don't show them, don't make them recognize that, oh, my boss is watching me and my boss might be angry with me. Don't create that attitude, create that atmosphere, not attitude, create that atmosphere. So it's not Japanese style, it's a Western style or whatever style. It's because people can feel it. Because you have an authority, they don't. So they believe that if my boss find out my mistakes, he might fire me. Then he or she gets scared. So if you want them to try their best to bring it up and try to solve the problem together with their boss, then if they are ready to do that, then you have to be prepared. If they are trying to hide it, then that happens very often. But you always ready. You have to be patient. That's why you need to be patient, and you have to tell them, you have to show them, I'm ready to listen to any issues. So you sometimes it's not so. I know it's not so easy for you to change your European style or Western style to a little bit more Toyota style. It's not easy. I know that. But human being, we are the same human being. Everybody wants to recognize. Maybe Western people wants to be more recognized than we Japanese people are. Don't you think so? People wants to be recognized. I want to be recognized. I don't want them to ignore me. But Japanese people are the same thing. But so what? You have to know that people want to be recognized. How do we do that? In order to show them that he or she recognize that, you talk to them first, and not negative way, but positive way. You are doing things right. I know your project is so difficult. So what are the difficult? Don't focus on the failure, but difficult. So it must be difficult. What kind of hurdles you are not clearing, whatever. So that makes people feel happy. And so that the good boss always at Toyota are like that. And so and before they finally make mistakes, then maybe sometimes it's too late. So when you sense that he or she is doing things the wrong way, then if you sense it, then you approach them. I know this is not easy project, but and anything that I can help you out before it's too late. So that is one step. In order to make it happen, you have to have a regular timing, regular communication process, not every day, but from time to time. Then that will give them a chance to speak up with bad news. But if you usually don't talk with them anything, only time you need some report from them, then you call them. Then they will bring only good news and hide bad news. Anyway, so you should start yourself rather than expect them to change.
Yeah, I think that you told very important thing that we need, me as a employee, I need to believe that if I will experiment and I will make a failure, I will not be punished for that. Then I will be able to take the responsibility and to offer my idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's so important.
Mhm.
And within Toyota, if you make mistakes, then I confess to my boss. "Oh, I'm sorry, boss. I just screw up." Then my boss, Mr. Sugura, said, "Yoshino, don't worry about it. I did the same thing when I was younger. Don't worry about it." So you screw up much better way. So don't worry about it. We laugh. So that is a little bit exaggerated, but you have to make them feel comfortable with bringing bad news. So it's in order to make it happen, you have to be patient, and also you have to be serious about your role. And but it sounds a little bit difficult, but no, it's not difficult because you can change it. It's much easier to make to change your people, but you change yourself. It's not too difficult.
Thank you. We have another question. Arthur, do you have any questions more?
No, thank you very much.
No,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you. Okay, so said that again.
Yeah, sorry again, me, but just really quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We have 5 minutes left.
Okay,
Minutes
quick one.
left. So yeah.
Really
ask.
quick one. So if I would say there's a magic key, whatever you have, you saw in your hand, and we gave you chance to change something in Toyota, what would you change today in Toyota? Because for us, it is like a Bible. You know, when we are talking about lean and so on, Toyota is always like a role model for us. Okay, we are going to use the Hoshin, you know, A3, Gemba, all those things. But since I haven't worked in Toyota, so I don't know what is the inside. So you have been working there many years. So what would you, when you look today, so what would you really change in Toyota?
Change. Well, that's a very profound question. But we have to understand that Toyota is a very good company, but at the same time, we have bad bosses too. But majority of the people are good good bosses. That's why the boat is going to the right direction. Sometimes it's a little bit left, this is right, but not as too far. So it's so important. What I want to change Toyota is that maybe uh, maybe right now it's top management is very powerful. Not powerful, but it's people. I have a feeling that the people, all those decision makers, all the people working for the president, they don't talk back. Maybe they are good listener, but they don't talk back when the president or the big shot is just okay. This is what I want to accomplish. I want to do. Toyota needs to do. If somebody has some different opinion, I'm wondering whether they raise their hand. Or I disagree with you or something. And so that is what I fear.
Thank you
So
for the,
because generation after generation, all those good culture is fading a little bit. It happens everywhere. So now it's a 2022, right? And the last time 20 years ago is 20, yeah, 2000. So we have to, I want to go back to those way of thinking in the 2000, and think about what is missing. It always the belt is getting loose when time passes. Anyway, so all the people always complain. But so my complaint is that maybe we call it yes man. You need yes man, yes sir. Always say yes sir. Whatever boss says, yes sir. Yes sir. I agree with. So that is my little small concern.
thank you so much for the honest answer.
Thank you. So we have 2 minutes left. Natalie.
Okay, so the last question is strictly about Toyota company and the way of implementing to the whole Toyota's businesses. I mean, in example, does in shared service centers, which I'm very interested in because shared service in Toyota. Do you have any information about this kind of departments where do they implement quite the same philosophy like factories, Toyota factories, plants, shared service centers?
It is administrative, yeah? Just adding here, administrative and the production, the difference.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand.
So I think Natalie is asking about how the TPS is used in the other departments or divisions, which are concentrate more on services than on production.
Oh, well, actually, TPS is not only for the manufacturing side.
Yes.
TPS, a key concept, you know, it can be applied to anywhere, even the service. So that is each department responsibility to understand it and what are the key things that we have to apply. So because it's very simple, the people oriented, also problem solving is, we are not perfect, and all those key concepts wherever you are is the same. So it depends on how you understand it. So I don't know whether how I should answer, but
that's the answer. It's a good answer, but I'm just curious, how is it working in Toyota?
Well, actually, okay, to answer your question, very often the company top executives issue some of the small comments about what he or she thinks, and it's a big picture. And and always share with people. So the gap, the distance between the top management and the lower people, not so big. For example, other company like initial N, it's a they make all the decision making, and people working for them no opportunity to speak up. Because I know a company, and because my cousin used to work over there, and he's always complaining. Oh, they make all the decision and they don't let us make decisions. So that's so important, and but that comes from Toyota's history. It took a long time for me to explain Toyota's history, but it's so there is a more good things about Toyota, and small items about how to improve. Of course, there are some terrible things happening to Toyota, but sometimes people step forward, cross the border, cross the line sometimes, but percentage is smaller.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
In the same time, Isao, thank you so much for the time spent with us, and we are waiting for next meetings and to hear your stories and to go deeper. And what I also can say is that that you can get the bonus 20% on this book on the password Yoshino. This is the offer from the publisher. But Yoshino,
I already got my book, so I missed my chance for buying bonus.
Oh, so
as a gift to someone.
Yeah, if you would like to understand deeper what Mr. Isao Yoshino is telling to you, it's really worth to read this book, which is Mr. Yoshino history with a lot of good advices and say of your experience. Yes, Isao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, today's session, I know that you have so many other questions to make, but time is limited. So if you have any extra questions, any other questions you want to make, then please send it to Joanna, and then Joanna will send it to me. I will be very happy to answer. And that is very, very important, because I would like to know, because you want to know a little bit more about Toyota, right? But I also want to know more about what you're thinking, what you're struggling or whatever. So I would like to learn too. So I would like to know. So but please don't worry about it, because I will be very happy to spend some time to answer. And that is another learning experience for me. I think it's makes sense to me to learn something from this session.
Thank you. And at the end, I will share the screen with the link to information about Mr. Yoshino lectures. So you can get there some more information. And if you will put your name under this button, I will have the possibility to invite you to the next lectures, to remind you to not forget about this great opportunity to meet Mr. Isao Yoshino. Isao, thank you so much. I love this smile. And,
Thank you, guys.
and thank you for sharing your experience, great experience.
My pleasure.
It was an honor for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.